Hello, sixth graders. Welcome back to sixth grade Latin. Okay, so I saw a lot of you guys did really good with your translations from Monday, and like must have mentioned in the video, uh, going on throughout the rest of this month, I'm definitely okay with. You kind of have like a whole 48 hours within to turn things in on forms. If say your Mondays are really full of Schoology stuff, I'm definitely okay with you doing stuff on Tuesday that is supposed to be due by the next school day, like full school day, which would be a Wednesday. And so that goes for today too. There's going to be some stuff in the forum for you today, which I will explain. And you can definitely finish that on Thursday. It doesn't have to be done today. All right, so hopefully these went pretty well. The second one, there's actually a lot going on in the second one, and some people still were doing pretty well with that, but I don't blame anyone for getting a little confused on that one. So regem malum tolerare numquam debemos. Let's not kind of underestimate the importance of actually being able to find the case just because I'm color coding everything now. Regum malum, how do we know that's accusative? Hopefully that's something you were able to put together. That regum is a third declension accusative singular from our new third declension, and malum is masculine accusative second declension to match it. So don't forget that weird thing now that we have third declension nouns where we will have older adjectives that are actually trapped in the first and second declension, modifying these third declension nouns. So it's kind of a shame because their endings will not be identical looking, but they technically, both regum and malum, are both accusative, singular, and masculine, so they do actually go together. And then the rest of this is entirely predicate, just a lot of verb information. So debemos specifically is first person plural. And so hopefully you remember what that means. I know we're all maybe getting a little rusty about certain things since we're not doing the daily Latin grind quite as intensely as before. But debemos, to me saying it's first person plural, hopefully still means to you that that means the subject is we. So don't forget about our ost must tis int. I'm even adding in first person singular the am ending since that now is showing up in more than one first person place. So OST must tis int, I, you, it, we, all, they. Our subject is we. We're starting with we. And then what is the rest of this predicate? Debemos numquam tolerare. We, what is debemos? By itself, if there was no other verb, if there was no tolerare, it'd be like we owe. We owe money, or whatever it is. We owe a direct object. But we have tolerare, so we're going to have we ought to. Numquam, our new adverb meaning never. We ought to never verb. We ought to never infinitive. And tolerare is our complementary infinitive there. We ought to never tolerate a direct object, right? We ought to never tolerate a regum malum, bad king. So grammatically, this is very straightforward, but there are a couple things that we could kind of go without observing, such as malum actually going with regum. That'd be a very easy thing to not catch. And in which case, if you didn't know that they went together, you would have no idea what to do with malum. It would just be kind of floating there. Also, debemos. Some of us maybe are not staying on top of our first, second, third person singular plural. I mean, at this point, we have so much to keep track of, so I can't really blame you, but hopefully check in. Definitely pause on this screen and write down the first person, second person, third person singular plural verb ending chart there. It's crucial. Okay, this one, post parvum multa verba de insidii scriptorum stultorum scribemus. There's a lot going on here, as you can see, even just with the color coding. But let's start from scratch and approach it as though I've not already given you the color-coded version, which may or may not help, depending on, you actually have to know how to use that information. So first of all, I see post, and then I see parvum. So let me think. Immediately, right off the bat, I'm thinking, wait, so post, it means after, right? Like post-war means after World War II. So post means after, and it's a preposition. And we have like 5 prepositions now. They're actually pretty easy to keep track of. This is one, just like propter, that takes an accusative. So are there any accusatives right next to post? Well, parvam, that could be accusative. I think that has to be, actually. And moram is too. Those both have the same looking endings, and they're also actually the same ending, accusative, singular, feminine. So after a small delay, so that's the first 3 words. And then I see multa verba. What is multa verba? Verba is coming from verbum, verbi, which means word. It is neuter. So what could that be? The A ending equals nominative or accusative plural, as my note says. Meaning this could either be the subject or the direct object. And we just don't really quite know which one it is at this point. So you know what? I'm going to keep moving. I don't know if that's the subject or the direct object. Those are very different things. I don't know if this is the thing that is doing the verbing or if it's the thing that's going to be verbed. Now I see day, and I think, oh, it's another preposition. We already had post. Now we have another preposition. It must have its own objects. Remember, day means from or about, usually about, and it takes an ablative, like the majority of our prepositions still do at this point. So is there an ablative right next to it? Yeah, insidious can be ablative. I think that counts. It can be ablative or dative, but when it's right next to day, it must be ab. So day insidious, is that something about like about the plots? Insidii, that's plots or treachery, right? And then scriptorum stultorum. For some reason I almost want to say they're accusative, but it's actually genitive because it's orum, and that is genitive plural. So those are going together. I'll put them in the pink genitive. And then finally, scribemos. Now, scribemos, just like our last verb, is first person plural. So the subject's going to be we. That kind of answers our question about multa verba, whether many words is the subject or the direct object. It looks like now we know our subject is we. And let's think about this. What tense is this? Because scribo, scribera, that's one of our new third conjugation verbs. So does that E in scribo, scribera, or the ending of this one, specifically scribemos, mean that it's present or future? And as you can see down there in that chart, it is actually future. So that's that first person plural future tense ending of a third conjugation verb, which we'll kind of go over those at the end of this. So if it was present, it'd have to be like scribemos with an I. Instead, it's scribemos with a long E. So that's future tense. Very interesting. Okay, so ignoring everything else, because obviously I could probably start with the post parvo morum thing, but if I'm just starting with scribemus, which is both our subject and our verb, I get we will write, right? Because I decided it's future, so I want to use will. We will, verb, we will write. Okay, that's a start. And we're going to write a direct object, right? Whatever we write, it's going to be a direct object. We might write it to an indirect object, but we need to write it to a DO. So what could be our DO? I don't see anything in bright red. Maybe many words was the DO after all, since we found out it can't be the subject. So we will write many words. Okay, now we got the ball rolling. Day and cities. Words about the plots, about the treachery. What kind of treachery? Scriptorum stultorum. It's about the plots of foolish writers. And then I see, there's 3 words at the very beginning that I never actually brought into the translation. That would be after a small delay. And that can go in front or, it could go at the end of the sentence in terms of our translation. So we had, a few different distinct parts of the sentence that we had to figure out. It turned out to be most important to focus on the verb, to really nail down the person, number, and tense of the verb. And then from there we could figure out what a direct object was. We figured out what followed the direct object, what was possessive and genitive of the direct object. And then we just stuck that last little prepositional phrase at the beginning and we called it a day. So hopefully that helps to see me really break it down step by step. I know it's difficult at this point to be keeping up with all the grammar when we're not in class every day, but as I can see from your entered in work, that you guys are actually doing a really good job with that. So keep it up. All right, I'm going to have you just go through, look at 5 verbs in today's form, just 5. They will all be third conjugation. Let's not forget that this chapter, chapter 8, is all about the third conjugation verb. Last chapter we got the third noun declension category. Now we're getting the third verb conjugation category. And the thing with these is the infinitive, instead of being second conjugation long E like moneiri, terreiri, salveiri, it's a short E. So scribera, ducera, agera, winkera. It's literally a short E in that you're just like not emphasizing it in the way that you would with a second conjugation. So I'm going to give you 5 conjugated third conjugation verbs, and you're going to tell me if they are present tense, future tense, or imperfect. Tense is the thing I care about most. Go ahead and also tell me the person and number after you tell me the tense, but tense is most important. And if you just want to pause this screen right here and use that as your guide, that's fine by me. The key, if we look at the left here, the center left with the present tense. Those are just very straightforward, where we're seeing I show up in 4 out of 6 of them. So scribo is, normal first person singular present. I write. Scribis is you write. So it's like the E is so short, it turns into an I in the present tense. Scribit, scribimus, scribitus, and then scribunt. Scribunt's a little weird in that it looks like futuristic bunt cake, but that has more to do with the fact that scribo just happened to have a B at the end of its stem. Okay, this is not actual bunt cake. But anyway, it's like the I has to turn into a U in the third person plural for whatever reason. Okay, future is what I really want you guys to focus on, and then we'll basically be done. Because those are weird. That first person singular especially. That scribom, the fact that that would translate to I will write, that's very strange, right? The rest of them after first person all have the E showing up. Scribe, scribet, scribemos, scribetus, and scribent. But that first person singular one, really weird. But then, yeah, after that, it's just you're looking for that E. If you see that E in the ending, that means it's future. That's why it's important to know when a verb is third conjugation or not, because this will not apply to first and second conjugation. And then imperfect at the bottom, those imperfect endings are the same. So scribe, bomb, scribe, boss, scribe, bot. I was writing, you were writing, it was writing, scribe, bombos, we were writing, etc. Though do be careful if you see their scribe, bomb, that first person singular imperfect at the very bottom. It is like a single syllable away from being future tense. If you look up there, it's not. It's the same as scribom. Scribom is I will write. Scribabom is I was writing. Big difference. In the Latin, it's only a difference of a single syllable. So we get the whole scribe. It's like the stem for imperfect is scribe, and then we add bombospot. Where for future, it's literally just that that we're adding. Scribom. All right. So on Friday, we're going to talk a little bit about another temple and its relation to something historical. And it'll be helpful to be brushed up on Cicero. He's come up now and again, but he always has remained this kind of peripheral figure, which is a fancy word for he's always kind of just off in the background. We have never really focused on him. So on Friday, it'll come up a little more. So just for the end of this video right now, I'm just going to set us up for that a little bit. He is 6 years older than Julius Caesar, born in 106 instead of 100. He lived until the 40s, so he outlived Julius Caesar by a year. He is a statesman and an orator primarily, so very much a politician. He was consul at one point, which remember that's kind of their version of president, though there's always two at once. And he is a senator at the time of the Ides of March. So why I say currently a senator. This was taken from a PowerPoint on the Ides of March, or leading up to the Ides of March. 20 years prior to the Ides of March, he was known for having put down a conspiracy by this guy Catiline, who was this angry politician who threatened to burn down all of Rome, and Cicero caught him red-handed and had him and a lot of his co-conspirators arrested. And this was Cicero's big success story, that he was the protector of Rome by finding this evil Catiline guy and putting down his conspiracy. Now, when things start to get weird 15 years later, when Julius Caesar is about to cross the Rubicon and march on Rome, Cicero actually sides with Pompey. Like most senators, he sides with Pompey against Julius Caesar, but when Pompey ends up losing and dying, JC doesn't hold this against, and that's Julius Caesar, by the way, doesn't hold this against Cicero and pardons him and welcomes him back into the fold. So we'll start from that point on Friday, but just so you kind of get a sense of what this guy is all about. Big-time politician and one of the most well-read and translated writers of the Roman period that we focus on. We have a ton of written works from him on all kinds of topics, and we'll talk a little bit about that on Friday. All right, so do these 5 parsings where you tell me the tense of the verbs, and then you're done for the day. On Friday, we'll just take some light notes and check your answers, and we'll be done for the week. All right, guys, I will speak to you on Friday.